Hello there, friends. Thanks for tuning in to Nerdy-Nawg-Dawg Productions. We are looking at shapes other than a full square or rectangle and finding fractional side lengths. So to do that, you can look at these pages and you are able to divide them up in different ways that might work for you. So for instance, I might look at this shape and make it into a rectangle there and a rectangle here. And then to solve for this first rectangle, I see that it tells me the width is 1/3. So right away, I'm going to go ahead and put down 1/3 because I know to find area, I need to do length times width. Okay. It then also tells me that the length is 6/7 of a yard. So right off the bat, I should be able to solve for the length or for the area of this rectangle. Okay, so then we go to the second rectangle and there is no value here. So I don't know what the width is. Oh, I apologize. The value is up above. And so I can say, they show us here that the width of this rectangle is 2/9 of a yard. And then to find the length, there is no value there, right? Because this is 6/7 of a yard. This value here is 2/7 of a yard. But what I can do is I can visualize that this value 2/7 plus this value here, I can assume that this 2/7 is the same height as this 2/7, and therefore if I add 2/7 plus 2/7, that will give me the full value of the length of this rectangle. So you have even more math to do. 2/7 plus 2/7 will then tell us the value here. And I'm going to go ahead and solve for that. Remember, with adding fractions, denominator stays the same. We add the numerator and end up with 4/7, and that value comes back up here. Now we can solve for this fractional unit. And then what we have left is this final fraction. I'm sorry, the area for this final box. And I see one value being at 2/7. What is the value going this way? Well, they do tell us, but it's up above here. So 2/9. So my final, let's move that out of the way. We've solved for that. My final formula to meet area, length times width, will be 2/7 times 2/9. Okay. When you find the product of the first rectangle, the second rectangle, and the third rectangle, you could add that all together. Now what I want to point out is there's always more than one way to break down your fractional units. We could actually break it down this way as well, and then solve for it here. You just might need to find other fractional units. I do want to walk you through one, however. If we look at the bottom, it tells us the width and the length. Pretty easy to solve for this rectangle here. But what happens when we come to the second rectangle? So it tells me one value, which is 2/7 of a yard. So we'll consider that our width. But then the length is unclear. So how do I solve for the length? Well, if I look up above, this value that's in the little pocket of air, nice and sunny there, has a value of 2/9 yard. Okay, and then we also see from this value here 1/3 yard. So we would have to add that together. If I am solving for this last little bit here, well, in this case, it tells us. There does come the case where I might need to take away 2/7. I can realize that this value here is 2/7. Therefore, I know that this side is also 2/7. And if I needed to solve for this value, I could do 6/7 minus the 2/7. right? And that would end up being 4/7. So now I know that this value here is 4/7. And that might come in handy for solving different problems, okay? If we look down below, it actually needs you to take away a portion. Can you solve for that? Well, yes, we know something about squares. It says that this value is 1/5. We then know that this value is 1/5. Can we find the area that this open space leaves us? Do you understand my question there? We know the area is length times width, and I would consider this 1/5 being my width, this 1/5 being my length. Therefore, I can solve for this part in the middle that I have colored in red. And what would I need to do? I would need to subtract it from the whole. So what I want to say is that all the values are indeed in place. You can solve for them. You might need to break them down in different ways. Okay? Take your time with this. If you have any questions, we can review it tomorrow. Thank you.